Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Wire. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today for this live broadcast of the Sunday Wire. It is May the 3rd of 2026, and forgive me for that little glitch there on the way in. Sometimes that mute button gets sticky. So we got a lot to cover today. I'm Bryan McClain, filling in for Patrick Henningsen while he's out and about moving around. Hopefully he's going to be able to dial into the show today and weigh in because we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking, the theme of the program is Lebanon the new Gaza? It's certainly starting to look that way. Israeli airstrikes killed, as of the 30th, I think, at least 9 people in southern Lebanon, despite the existing ceasefire agreement. But if you're a regular Sunday Wire viewer or someone who's paying attention, you know what ceasefires usually amount to in these conflicts. Usually it's a smokescreen for more assaults, more attacks. So these strikes have targeted multiple locations with reports of civilian casualties, including women and children. And this is all going on uh, during ongoing, violations of a U.S. brokered ceasefire that began, uh, I guess today's the 3rd. So last month, Lebanese officials are condemning the strikes, calling them a breach of the agreement and a threat to stability. Israel, of course, maintains it's targeting Hezbollah infrastructure and fighters, right? So they, of course, are framing the strikes as defensive or necessary operations. Uh, and many people are fighting against that narrative right there. The situation on the ground shows continued hostilities despite the ceasefire, with both sides accusing each other of violations at this point. The escalation highlights, of course, the fragility, all right, of ceasefires in this region. Um, so the concern here is that the ceasefire could just collapse completely, if we can even call it that, right? We're pretty skeptical about ceasefires around here. So another huge problem with this is the mass displacement and widespread destruction across southern Lebanon. It's The images feel very familiar to some of the things that we've seen before, right? Kind of looks like the scenes in Gaza. So, just saying, is Lebanon the new Gaza? Is it possible? Israeli attacks kill 28 people in southern Lebanon despite ceasefire. This is out of Al Jazeera. So yeah, Israeli attacks on southern Lebanon have killed at least 28 people, according to the country's national news agency, despite a temporary United States mediated ceasefire. In the municipality of Jabshit, 4 people were killed and 9 others were wounded in an attack that destroyed a residential building. A separate attack killed 4 members of one family, including a child, in the municipality of Toul. 4 people were killed and 6 wounded. Uh, the list goes on. The list goes on. And where does it stop? What does a ceasefire actually mean? What is going on here? Ceasefire. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit more. Let me also inform you that we've got a new Sunday screening this week. Infiltration from within. Israelis recruited to spy for enemy countries. This is a new one. This documentary exposes the myth of Israel's quote unquote world class intelligence, revealing a security state repeatedly blindsided from within. So this draws on some rare archives and insiders, including former Shin Bet chief Yaakov Prey and veteran analyst Yossi Melem. And the film traces a covert history of Israel's early years all the way to the events of October 7, 2023. So That's something that we curate and provide here at 21stcenturywire.com. So definitely head on over to the website and check out the Sunday screening this week. I think it's going to be very timely considering everything that is going on right now. So definitely get on over there and check out the Sunday screening. And if you're out there watching live today on YouTube, on X, on Rumble, on BitChute, or any of the channels that we're broadcasting on, we greatly appreciate it if you would hit that like button and that subscribe button. Throw some comments our way. I see the commenters are already popped into the live stream over here. We'll definitely interact with some of you folks later in the program here. And hopefully Patrick will be joining us as well. I have a pretty good line that he will be with us today. Now let's get back to I want to get back to this clip here. I'm going to play for you guys with regards to like what is going on in Lebanon and how it's affecting people. You know, I'm keenly interested in how this is affecting the citizens in particular. So let's take a look here. This is a Al Jazeera report, and we'll take a look at what they've got to say here from their reporters.
Effect on civilians here in the south. We have had updating rolling death tolls from multiple strikes over the course of Tuesday and into Wednesday morning, which targeted civilians. Just a couple of hours ago, there was a funeral held here in the city of Tyre for 2 women and a 3-year-old girl who were killed in airstrikes in villages not far from here. And that is just one incident in the town of Jabshit. There was also a family, 5 members of one family killed. So that is the direct impact on civilians who are killed and wounded in these Israeli airstrikes. But the net effect as well is another wave of displacement here in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military has gone back to issuing forced displacement orders to specific towns and villages. But even for people whose village is not subject to one of these orders, what has happened is we have gone back to a state of danger and unpredictability across southern Lebanon. Many of these strikes come without any warning at all. And so people have once again left their homes and villages. They have gone back to displacement shelters. And the feeling here in southern Lebanon is a return to war, even though we are ostensibly in the middle of an extended ceasefire.
So, a return to war. The feeling is a return to war, even though they're supposedly admitting living amongst a ceasefire. I mean, if the ceasefire was functional, if the ceasefire was working, that would not be the sense that people are having. Now, the other thing that I'm finding reminiscent of actions in Gaza and the West Bank are demolitions, right? We're hearing a lot about airstrikes, but in these zones, in these towns, buildings, neighborhoods are being demolished. And in some cases, they get some warning that it's time to leave the town, that a strike is imminent, but not every time. And then what happens when the people leave the town? Well, things start blowing up. Demolition charges get set. That is one of the ways that we end up seeing all this rubble. A lot of it's from bombs and missiles, but some of it is from straight up demolition. So, you know, I was also wondering, well, what could the Lebanese government do? What can the Lebanese government actually do given this situation? Well, luckily, that question was asked as well in this same report.
The government feels obliged to respect.
All right. Now, Heidi, in southern Lebanon, where does all of this leave the U.S. brokered truce?
I mean, as we were just hearing from Ramallah, it is very much a ceasefire in name only here in southern Lebanon. We had the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the weekend stating that his military enjoys full activity here in southern Lebanon, and that certainly does seem to feel and sound to be the case. We hear warplanes overhead here constantly. We hear the sounds of demolitions. We hear the sounds of airstrikes and artillery. But in terms of the reaction from the Lebanese government, there was very strong condemnation by both the president and the prime minister in response to yet another double tap attack on Tuesday, which killed 3 members of the civil defense. That's the local first responders and rescue organization. They were trying to rescue survivors from an initial airstrike. Now, the Prime Minister called that a new war crime and said that they would be using the available mechanisms to compel the Israelis to abide by the ceasefire. And then the president this morning in the presidential palace, he was meeting with the families of civilians who have been killed during this ceasefire. And again, he says that he would be, he was offering them his condolences and then pledged that he would do what he could to maintain the ceasefire. But the question is, what can the Lebanese government actually do to maintain this ceasefire? This has been the argument of Hezbollah, that they have very little leverage to compel the Israelis to abide by the ceasefire, or indeed to dictate any kind of terms that seem to allow the Israelis full military action without any real recourse by the Lebanese state.
So not a whole lot, it sounds like. Not a whole lot the Lebanese government can do at this point. So what's going to happen? Well, if we look at Gaza as a roadmap, I think we have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. And the international community, I don't know. Where are we at with this? Where are we all at with this? Was Gaza not enough to wake everybody up? I don't know. But if this is what a ceasefire looks like, especially for the people being attacked, and if this is what defense, quote unquote, defense looks like for the IDF, I don't know. Something's not really squaring up here. Something is not squaring up. And go figure, even in Israeli news media, people are noticing and people are saying, hey, all right. And let me just play you this. Because it feels like here in the West, we get sort of just mostly one corporate view of all this. And we rarely see any form of like dissent or criticism from other countries. That seems to be one thing that is completely filtered out of our mass media. So I found this little clip interesting. This was referenced in that same report. So here's a little bit of, it's going to be overdubbed, it's translated from Israeli media, but here you go.
By the Israeli government. There are also discussions that are, or concerns in Israeli media about what the Israeli army is up to in Lebanon. Take a look.
I want to share what an officer involved in the ground operation in Lebanon told me. There are no real battles happening there. Instead, it's mostly demolition work on significant buildings, carried out more by contractors than combat troops. He questions whether taking down another house is worth a soldier's life. He also says discipline within the ranks is slipping and troubling behavior is becoming more common, including looting.
There are serious problems inside the military and in Lebanon under the current chief of staff. I've heard he's a decent man, but his actions don't really reflect that.
This isn't just on the chief of staff. A whole generation has grown up being taught that Arabs in the West Bank, Gaza, and Lebanon are not human beings.
So demolitions, lootings, and basically a breakdown of order. This is of concern because the context in Israel.
Yeah, it's of concern. My goodness. Yeah. This whole thing about Lebanon breaking the ceasefire. How can someone please make that make sense when you've got the IDF going in, airstriking areas, telling people to leave certain areas. Then when they do, they blow up the town. And we're also seeing reports, I believe it was James Lee did a great short report on Google in real time, basically, over the last few weeks, removing the names of towns in southern Lebanon. Can you imagine that? That is so insane to me. Like, we've got a tech overlord company, right? The folks that are sort of like the ultimate arbiters of, well, we won't say truth, the ultimate arbiters of data and narrative, just removing towns from the map, from the world map online, right after the IDF bombs them, smashes them, burns them, destroys the people there. It's just amazing. Here comes Alphabet. Oh, hover over that town. Delete. What? You know, people thought it felt odd when Trump 47 came in and said, you know what? I'm going to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, no, we're going to have to change all the maps. Oh, woe is us. What are we going to do? That's going to take a long time to get used to. Well, here you've got a rogue nation committing war crimes and doing fake ceasefires and missile striking, 2,000-pound bomb striking, demolition doing. And there's Alphabet just coming up right behind them, like Bugs Bunny or something, with a broom, sweeping. Just sweep all these town names off the map. We don't need these anymore. They're gone. Talk about a novel time in history. My goodness. Used to be somebody would win a war and then, it would take a few years and some crusty dude with a long beard, cartographer, draw a new map out. Oh, well, we won that, so those towns aren't there anymore. That I can comprehend. But some nerd at Google, working at Google Maps, sitting there literally deleting town names after they've been unjustly wiped out via what many are calling war crimes. Holy crap, you guys. And they'll blame Lebanon. Oh, well, they didn't mind the ceasefire. So what? Hezbollah's the new Hamas now, I suppose. Like you just invoke that word, regardless of how little you know about it, and all of a sudden, you can just support ethnic cleansing, genocide, murder of non-combatants, civilians. Arguably war crimes, that kind of thing. Well, the world is noticing. We're noticing here at Sunday Wire. We're noticing here at Alternate Current Radio. And I'm gonna bring us into Overdrive here so that I can bring some of our colleagues aboard, and we will discuss this further. Is Lebanon the new Gaza? We're not liking the sound of that. We're not liking the video footage we're seeing. We're not liking the firsthand reports that we're hearing. So we are going to take a quick break here, and we're going to head into Overdrive on the other side of that. So we'll see you on the other side.
If hope was a race, then it's finished. And if death has a smell, you can smell it. Where limited freedom is diminished. And if evil has a touch, you have felt it. Where there's no safe place to rest your head. And a child's greatest dream is for a loaf of bread in the rubble. She uncontrollably cries, a limbless child with lifeless eyes. Bombs relentlessly rain down from the skies to claim more hopes, more dreams, more lives. He tricks you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. Shaban Adalu, we remember your name. Hooked up to an ivy and engulfed in flame. I really don't know if I'll ever be the same after witnessing these images and feeling his pain. I sit here in comfort and the tears fall from my eyes, feeling totally hopeless, watching you get terrorized. He tricked you into thinking that doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. You see, when ignorance screams, intelligence stays silent. You can't reason with a fanatic, they'll just resort to being violent. An asymmetry of info that promotes the oppressor, whilst a name Palestine becomes a victim of the censor. The Palestinian people remain victim to the occupier, and the Zionist aggressor just plays a victim forever, forever, forever. He tricks you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine. Wherever you find oppression, you'll also find resistance. You label them as terrorists, I see them fighting for existence. He tricked you into thinking that he doesn't exist. Well, he does, and he rules with an iron fist. Kids are taken out by snipers, left to die where they fell. The devil is real, his name is Israel. I see you all shutting your eyes to unending heinous crimes. Are we slowly heading toward the end of times? To this I say, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, viva, viva, Palestina, free, 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 Palestine.
All right, welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm going to bring Patrick Henningsen and Ruckus aboard for this Overdrive section. So let's bring the crew on. Patrick, welcome to the Sunday Wire. Thanks for making the trip outside to join us today.
Thanks. I hope you can hear me okay and see me all right.
Yeah, looking and sounding great, man. It's good to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for holding down the fort. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ruckus, welcome to the Sunday Wire.
Thanks, Patrick. Your location looks far less it looks far more untouched by Bibi and Trump. So good on you. Unfortunately, my location, I cannot say the same here.
Far too lush to be Arizona as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. So where are you, Patrick?
You can see the desert landscaping in the background. It's all very good.
Yeah, it's not feeling very Phoenix today.
No, I'm in a giant garden. It's called England. It's a giant garden.
There we
So,
go.
so yeah, broadcasting from London.
All right. Well, welcome back to England, Patrick. So, Patrick, we've been examining what's gone on in Lebanon over the last week or so here, and the big question today is Lebanon going to be the new Gaza? Is the world going to stand by and watch this happen again? And one of the things that I found most disturbing about all this was just the terrorization upon the civilians, where it's like you could get told, you live in one town, you could get told, hey, there's going to be an attack in that town, you better move out, and that may be it. You may never come back because they may come through and just demolish the town with demolitions, if you're lucky, right? If you're not lucky, they won't tell you that a strike is coming, and then munitions start falling from the sky, right? So I mean, how is that a legitimate tactic of, like, let's just imagine that this force was looking to only destroy Hezbollah, to only fight militants, if you will, at least in their eyes. How would this tactic even, it doesn't seem like that tactic would even be acceptable for under the stated goal.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that, Hesher, but you're noticing too much. That's the problem. You got to be careful. You might be accused of being antiseptic for too much noticing. But it's like people look the other way. That this has been going on in Palestine for a very long time, and in a serious, horrific way since October 2023. And most people who want to deny that it's happening or don't want to sort of address it for what it really is will just say, well, that's a long-running feud between the Palestinians and the Israelis, between the Arabs and the Jews, right? And they're arguing over the land and who. So what's Lebanon then? So now the conversation's expanded, and you can see there's a common thread, and the common thread is Israel. That's the common thread. It's not the Arabs. It's not the native Palestinians or the native Lebanese or the native Syrians. It's the colonial settler project, the Zionist settler project that is hell bent on expansion, and it's no secret now. And but they're held to a very different standard. They're held to a different standard than anybody else. There's no calls for sanctions. I mean, immediately, the whole world should be sanctioning them for what they're doing, just like razing to the ground villages that have been there for thousands of years in some cases. This is the actual place where Jesus walked with his disciples. We're talking about Tyre, Sidon, the Sermon on the Hillside, all the things from the New Testament. A lot of the scenes are from there. It's an area I know personally very well. And having spent a lot of time there and have family there and so forth. But what was interesting about the report that you were talking about in the first, that clip from the Al Jazeera news clip that you showed, Hesher, is they talked about the double tap on the civil defense. I saw the exact same report 10 years ago. 10 years ago with Syria. Oh, Assad's double tapping the civil defense. Well, the civil defense was allegedly the white helmets in Syria. Well, we found out that's not really what they were. They were the Western construct, the fake civil defense, which they accused Assad of using double taps to hit these first responders. Anyway, to make a long story short, the white helmets were exposed as being, white helmets by day, al-Nusra, al-Qaeda by night. And that's been proven many times over. We published the photographic evidence, many reports, as did others. And no outrage. It's not the leading story from CNN. Remember, like the white helmets holding the baby in the ambulance with the dusty boy, teary pieces to camera for Al Jazeera, CNN, NBC, the BBC. This was like standard fare. And that drove the whole narrative for the conflict in Syria. But you won't see that across the global mainstream in this case. And here it's actually happening. These are real civil defense, Lebanese, that are going to try to rescue people, and Israel is going after them. They're targeting and assassinating journalists who are reporting critically on this this horrific war. They're taking out whole city blocks. They're targeting civilians indiscriminately right across Beirut, Lebanon, many different locations. They're eliminating whole villages that I said before have been continuously occupied since long before the state of Israel was even an invention in 1948. You know, so long before the British mandate in Palestine, going back a very long time. We're talking over 2,000 years. So that's what's actually happening. And it's so funny how the propaganda shaped everything for Syria, and here they're not applying that propaganda, or they're not applying the same narrative. And here you have the actual thing is actually happening. Whereas in Syria, a lot of it was projection and stage play for the media, which we exposed and many others exposed. And it's happening here. You know, just absolutely ruthless, absolutely brutal, the Israelis. And they're backed by the US. Don't think that this goes for Iran as well as Lebanon as well as Gaza. Don't think that the US and Israel are two separate actors that are somehow acting independently of each other. They're not. They're coordinating on everything. Israel has a hotline to the United States on stock in terms of missiles, bombs, F-35 parts. You got US tech crews on the ground in Israel running all the US gear, okay, including the Iron Dome, a lot of it. And that's the reality. They have a joint command center. They have a joint command center in Israel with US Pentagon people there. So this is part of the WrestleMania aspect of US-Israeli relations. For the public, it looks like, well, maybe the US can restrain this rogue actor. That's like crazy. You know, it's like the mafia boss is hired an elite contract assassin or a team of assassins. Someone said to the Don, why don't you restrain your your assassins, your hit squad? You need to do better to restrain them. You know, it's just ridiculous, the whole thing, how it's framed. And it's really horrific. We're seeing it again. This is another genocide. This will be filed in the International Courts of Justice before the end of the year as yet another case of genocide by Israel. I mean, what state could get away with doing a genocide on three fronts and threatening a fourth? They threatened Iran with annihilation last week, the Israeli defense minister. So 3 ongoing genocides in Gaza, the West Bank, and South Lebanon, and then threatening a fourth. There's no call for sanctions from the EU, or, of course, forget about the US.
Unbelievable. And we've seen, you know, this double tap thing. This isn't the first time we've seen it recently, right? They've been doing it. Ruckus, didn't they do that when they went to Venezuela as well?
Oh, this is their favorite move. They like the double tap, and if the U.S. is doing such a thing, they learned this maneuver from Israel, because we saw them do this in Gaza, where there were these horrific stories where there'd be like you'd hear the story of like a young girl trapped somewhere, but she survived the bombing of the building, and she called for rescue, and then the rescue workers go to rescue her, and then it's like you look at that story you were just flashing, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the exact same story, except this time in Lebanon. It's like it's a repeat. It's not so much double tapping as they're double dipping. This image behind me, this is like a monastery in Yaroun, southern Lebanon. This got a lot of attention and went viral on social media, because as soon as people posted footage of this place, they're like, Israel came out and whatever their psyops division, all the trolls come out. Oh no, it didn't. No, it didn't. And then everyone would like prove them wrong. They're like, yes, they did. And the official organization, it's the Salvatorian Sisters. It's a Greek Catholic religious order. But yeah, so they destroyed this. I added the bloody handprints, of course, for the image, but the image without the bloody handprints is legit. This is real. This really happened. That is a Christian place. What does this have to do with fighting those dirty Muslims and those terrorists, people? The Christian Zionists, this is what you support? Is this type of thing, this destruction of the Christian places? And this is not the first time they've done this, and not the first time they've done it in this place. This is where St. George Church was, where they destroyed that one back in 2024. I think I'm correct on that one. Somebody might need to. No, I'm pretty darn sure. So it's like, I'm like, what year is this? What day is this? It's like, it's the exact same thing over and over again. And they're already talking about expanding their territory, and they're talking about going up to this this lake or this river, the Latuni River. And it's like, they're going to start drawing a yellow line again, like they did in Gaza. And it's like, it's all the same thing. You can look at pictures of Lebanon's destruction and look at pictures of Gaza's destruction, and I bet you anything you're going to have a heck of a time telling the difference between the two in the post-destruction pictures, obviously. But I mean, it's just like, it's so in your face. Are we really doing this again? Are we going for round two? Is this the second coming and not the type that the Christians were hoping for?
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing to see the modus operandi, right? Like, usually in the past, like when a country has an MO for doing ethnic cleansing and genocide, they get like one round at it before, that ends. I mean, at least in modern history, I hope, just very generally speaking. But for a country to be able to do this 3 times, multiple times, if we really cracked the history book here, we would find way more than 3. But, like concurrently right now, how is this even happening in a world of, digital transmission, where we have this kind of technology where we can get on a stream and have these kind of conversations? Yet most people don't even know about demolition. Most people don't even know about double tapping or, rules of engagement, or, just how bad this actually is.
Yeah, Israel wants to. They've been explicit about their aims. They want to depopulate South Lebanon, completely depopulate any of the border regions, and they want to build settlements there. That's the conversation in Israel. And then any Shiite Muslims. So Hezbollah tend to be, for the most part, overwhelming majority of be Shiite Muslims. So Israel wants to ethnically cleanse any Shiites from South Lebanon. They've been there for, a long time, since 800, 900, or whatever, many years. So, and they want to do this for their security, they claim. But what they really want to do, and what they're doing in the West Bank, in Palestine and Gaza, and what they have been doing, is to also, they want to depopulate the Christian population from the entirety of the Levant. That's Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, ideally Egypt down the road, but because that suits their narrative. And their narrative is that, it's us against the Muslim hordes. It's a very crusader-like narrative. So the Israelis are just like the latest European crusade. That's how you got to look at it historically. And so they want to create that narrative, so that we're going to fight, as Lindsey Graham says, the trope. We're fighting them over here, so you don't have to fight them over there. So give us your money and your weapons, and let us control your government in Washington, because you need us to fight this clash of civilizations out here. But what they've done in Lebanon, they have, in addition to what Ruckus showed you there, they in 2024 they destroyed the Shrine of St. Peter, and just recently they set explosives in the mausoleum of Simon Peter. Those are 2 of Jesus's apostles, likely buried in one of those sites as well, the remains of. So they're hitting ancient Christian sites across Gaza. They took down the statue of St. George in, I believe, in the West Bank as well, the IDF. So the irony of this, and hitting the St. George church in Lebanon as well. St. George is the sort of patron saint, if you will, of England. The Red Cross, that's the cross of St. George on the English flag. That's the English flag that Tommy Robinson and the far right like to wrap themselves in when they're railing against the immigrants. It's laughable because Tommy Robinson's a big IDF supporter. He's a big Zionist. So, but he's quiet. He says nothing when the Israelis are desecrating the St. George sites across the Holy Land, if not obliterating these sites. And then the wars that are started by the U.S. at the direction of Israel most notably since the late 1990s till now, are the source of the waves of immigration coming into Europe. Again, that's an Israeli, NATO, US driven trend of waves of immigrants into Europe, namely to suit the interests of Israel. So all of these far right groups in Europe are all rabid supporters of Israel, haters of Muslims, haters of immigrants. But the source of their angst in Europe, which is supposedly immigrants, is being driven by Israeli foreign policy or Israeli influenced foreign policy, and all the European governments, the UK, Brussels, France, everyone, Germany, United States, Canada, they're all lockstep in with Israel. So Israel's pushing both sides of the equation. And then Israel's supporting the far right in Europe to go against the Muslims. So they're playing both sides of the story. It's absolutely ingenious. I actually did a report in the new UK column magazine called the Column Quarterly, which just came out the beginning of this last month. And I outlined this chapter and verse. I'll be speaking more about it on subsequent interviews and stuff like that. But I just find it extraordinary that all of these loudmouth, sort of pro-war, anti-immigrant type voices, especially in Europe, can't find the words to criticize Israel. It's just unbelievable. Israel's wiping out ancient Christianity in Iraq, in Syria, supporting Jolani, who's running pogroms against Alawites, Christians, and Yazidis in Syria, desecrating and wiping out and pushing Christians out of Lebanon, West Bank, Gaza, all of that. I mean,
so this yellow zone, yeah, there we go. Thanks, Ruckus. This whole like security zone, this yellow zone we keep hearing about, is that what Jolani's providing in Syria as well? Is there like a carved out like security zone that Israel's now enjoying?
Yes. They're working hand in hand with the Al Qaeda leader who's self-installed as president, backed by Israel, backed by Trump, the Al Qaeda leader. So you have a head-chopping ISIS Al Qaeda leader who declared himself president in Damascus, backed by Netanyahu, backed by Trump, backed by the UK, backed by the EU, literally wanted by the FBI before he took over Damascus in December of 2024. And then they just literally did a Men in Black mind wipe about him being the deputy head of ISIS and the founder of Al Qaeda in Syria. He's working with Netanyahu to give over Syria's land to the Israelis. So Israel will annex the Golan Heights and Mount Hermon, and they'll annex South Lebanon, and then they'll move on to take part of possibly Iraq, as well as Jordan and Saudi Arabia are not off the menu. Neither is the Sinai Peninsula, which is Egypt. They'll leave that one for last, if they get that far. If they get that far, and this is why Israel's making announcements that Turkey is the new ISIS. This is what they're saying in Tel Aviv. Turkey is the new Iran. We need to attack Turkey. So they're afraid that Turkey's influence in Syria is going to somehow thwart their plans to basically take. Israel wants to roll into Damascus. They want to roll in with tanks and Israeli flags right into the old town in Damascus. And Netanyahu wants to sit down and have tea in Bab Tuma, just like Ariel Sharon did in Hamra, in Lebanon during the Lebanese Civil War. That's his vision, and that's the greater Israel victory at that point. They're nearly there. from the river to the sea, from the Nile to the Euphrates. Greater Israel. There it is, right there. Netanyahu showing everybody. I don't know if that's the exact map he showed, but he has been brandishing that at the UN openly, and it's no longer a secret.
So
No, that one is like a meme made one, but I couldn't find the real one in time.
Yeah, it's very similar to the real one. It's he's got two blue lines, and he did show that publicly, and he's also stated about the Greater Israel Project publicly for the first time this past fall. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not anti-Semitic to point it out. It's real. It's happening, and no one seems to want to do a damn thing about it.
Y'all can ask Grok, is this true? Have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
ask ChatGPT.
Right. So Israel's playbook is basically permanent security zones across multiple fronts, using fake ceasefires, using just about every tactic in the book on the ground, and in the intel sense. And then on top of that, running media fronts and setting up narrative dialectics that basically make it look like you either support it or you're antiseptic. That's where we're at, and that we're gonna, just as the global community, continue to watch this happen. I think that's the big question right now: is how long is the global community gonna watch this playbook play out over and over again, to the tune of many, many, many deaths? I mean, for example, Lebanon's Ministry of Public Health has provided the latest casualty figures since the start of the Israeli attacks and U.S. attacks on Lebanon. So they're saying that between March 2nd and today, May 3rd, Israeli attacks across Lebanon have killed 2,679 people and wounded 8,229 people. And it's like, why do I have to be on Telegram channels that most of the West are not on to see those figures? Like, I feel like if that was the leading statistic with all the stories we see about it, like we're not seeing many stories about it, at least in the mainstream media, people might have a different opinion. Like, what the heck? How can that happen in just a couple months? Like, who were these people? Is that 2,679 Hezbollah members? Clearly, we know the answer to that is no.
No. And what they're doing is exactly what they do every time. And look, how come the Lebanese military can't defend their own people? I'll tell you why, and this is the whole point. This is why Hezbollah exists. The United States bans Lebanon's army from having air defense. They ban them. They can't have anti-aircraft. They can't defend their airspace because Israel wanted full control over Lebanese airspace, to use it as it sees fit, to bomb, or to use it to mount attacks against Syria for over 10 years. And so Lebanon's not allowed to have an air force. And that's because of the United States. So and Israel lobbies the U.S. to make the U.S. enforce that against the Lebanese army. So if that's the case, that's why Hezbollah exists. It's the South Lebanon militia. It's called Hezbollah, which in America, in the West, sounds scary because it's been labeled as a, quote, terrorist organization for such a long time, when in the reality, it's the South Lebanese Defense Force. And so they only came into existence to kick out the Israelis who occupied South Lebanon militarily for almost 20 years, during most of the 80s and 90s, and into 2000, until they were defeated by. Eventually, they were forced to withdraw in 2000. Then they came back to hit Hezbollah, and they lost a war with Hezbollah in 2006 in South Lebanon. And I've been to the site of that war. I've been in the bunkers and everything, in down near Nabatea. So that's the reality. Hezbollah was born with a vengeance. as the title of the book by Khalid Jabbar, the great history of Hezbollah. They're born with a vengeance. They wouldn't exist if Israel didn't invade and occupy South Lebanon, and the Americans didn't prevent the Lebanese from having a real military. So the U.S. is now trying to get the Lebanese army to disarm Hezbollah, and they're offering them all sorts of bribes, money, loans. Then they're threatening him with sanctions, and Trump's buddy, his business associate Tom Barak, is this so-called special envoy, who's basically an Israeli emissary, who's trying to push the Lebanese government to use the army to fight a war with Hezbollah, to disarm Hezbollah, because Israel can't sleep at night. They just don't feel safe while they're slaughtering thousands of Lebanese. The Israelis still feel unsafe, so they have to slaughter more Lebanese. That's the logic of the Israeli. We need to kill more Lebanese, and then we'll feel safer. We feel that if we depopulate South Lebanon and annex it, then we'll feel that our settlers can feel safe as they build homes in Lebanon on the stolen land. It's the same exact plan as Gaza, exact. And now you can see the results. They got away with it in Gaza, and guess what happens when a criminal gets away with a massive crime? They do it again. And do you think it's going to stop in Lebanon or South Lebanon? No, they're going to march all the way through eventually. If they're allowed to, they will take all of Lebanon eventually. And that could be in 20, 50, 100 years. It doesn't matter. And they'll take as much of Syria as they can under their direct control. They'll put their settlements in. They'll use their military to subdue. They'll demilitarize all of their neighbors, so they're the only ones with the military, and of course they have nuclear weapons. So no one's gonna. That's to stop anybody from stopping them, basically. So they employ nuclear blackmail. That's the thing the U.S. and the Israelis accuse Iran of doing, is nuclear blackmail. But Iran doesn't have nukes. Israel's the one that engages in nuclear blackmail. With the Israeli-U.S. access, I tweeted this out this morning. Always remember, every accusation is a confession. Whatever they accuse the Israelis and the Americans, which are pretty much a hive mind at this point, everything they accuse everything Trump's accusing the Iranians of, the U.S. is guilty of. Everything. Every one of those stupid tweets on his Truth Social is basically a confession. Oh, this is what the Iranians are like. They cheat, they lie. They're evil. The leadership doesn't care about their people. It's the opposite. All the things that the U.S. and Israel claims about Iran is the opposite's true about Iran, but it's true about them. It's every accusation is a confession. Just never forget that. When these people open their mouth, everything they accuse everyone else of, they're guilty of. Pretty much chapter and verse. It's never fails that equation.
It seems to scale too. It's like bigger and bigger lies, bigger and bigger accusations, bigger and bigger war crimes and transgressions and evil.
Who in history taught us about a big lie? Oh, wait, we can't say that on this program.
I don't know. We're not supposed to mention that one.
Are you talking about the tiny mustache man?
That's the one.
The tiny mustache. He's seeming like almost congenial. He's like Mr. Congeniality compared to this lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't remember Nazi soldiers going into people's houses after they've ethnically cleansed them and then dressing in the women's lingerie and then posting it on social media. Well, they didn't have social media back in World War II, but I can't see the German soldiers doing that. But yet that's what the Israelis are doing daily, and looting people's homes, and they got a black market of all the stolen goods. I guess the Germans did do that, but they're just so brazen about it now because of social media. They're just daring the world to do something because the world has done nothing.
Did you notice, Pat, that Trump came out and offered some advice to Bibi that was extremely similar, if not the exact same, concerning Gaza? back in the day. He said about the Lebanon stuff. He's like, look, you got to keep this stuff on the DL. You can't be, the whole world can't be seeing you murdering civilians. It makes you look bad, buddy. Yeah, it does. I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Yeah, you got to find a way to kill them without people seeing it so much. It's not a good look, BB.
Yeah.
So now you can't you see now why Iran is so insistent on making a ceasefire in Lebanon part of the negotiations? It should be obvious to everybody, because what happens in Lebanon and Palestine, in Gaza, it's central to the whole region, because the Israelis will use the threat of violence against the Lebanese, against the Palestinians. They're using the threat of violence to extract concessions from Iran via the U.S. So that's why Iran's very clever. They're like, no, this is all part of one deal now. You're not gonna go and threaten to kill all these people, ethnically cleanse and exterminate them, and then using that as basically a threat to get leverage in negotiations with us, because that's what goes on. That's the implicit threat. So Iran's clever. They're like, no, that's part of the deal. And they're freaking out in Washington. Oh, no, you can't do that. And the Israelis, of course, are saying, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. And Iran's saying, no, you're going to do a ceasefire, otherwise the missiles are coming. And they're like, they don't know what to do. There's never been a regional actor ever that's dared to do that. That's dared to do what the Iranians have done. And it has taken the full force of the U.S. military and the Israeli military, and they're still standing. And they're basically saying, we're ready for more. You know, we don't want more, but we're ready for it. But we're not going to get down on our knees and capitulate to Israeli and U.S. demands, especially Trump demands. They're not going to subject themselves. They have too much integrity, too much honor. They didn't start the war anyway in the first place. And yeah, so it's quite an amazing historic thing that's happening. And so I always ask, you know, I'd say, well, how could the U.S. declare victory, a military victory? First of all, this will go down in history as an illegal war of aggression. So you can never be a winner. That's that people like Pete Hegseth, is the limited intellectual capacity. It's the hair gel must have somehow brain damaged. I mean, he uses more hair gel in a day than Gavin Newsom uses in a month. Pete Hegseth. I call him Flathead because his head's like compressed, which is very odd. But anyway, Flathead uses a lot of gel, and I think it's caused brain rot. But he hasn't worked it out. History won't. There is no universe in history, no parallel universe where the U.S. is the victor. It was an illegal. They started a war. They made up a fake excuse for it, exactly like Iraq. Who now, after all these years, says that the U.S. won the Iraq War? What we know is illegitimate from the beginning, because it was a fake WMD claim, just like the fake WMD nuclear claim that they're using to try to justify their illegal war against Iran. It's just a different type of WMD fake claim, along with a bunch of other fake claims. 40,000 protesters killed by the regime. That's a lie. And all these, there's a few others as well. The other one is that the Iranians have been slaughtering Americans for 47 years. Complete lie. Every accusation is a confession. The U.S. have been shooting down Iranian civilian airliners, killing Iranian civilians, refusing to apologize about it. George H.W. Bush, former president. So, I mean, if someone did that to America, shot down a full airliner full of American Airlines, killed everybody on board, and the country that shot them down refuses to apologize, what would you hold a grudge against that country for a while? I would say yes. I would say yes. It's more
Probably.
than embarrassing.
Yeah.
So that's the background of that. And I could say a couple other things, but go ahead.
And these, I'm curious about these security zones, these yellow zones, right? Because it seems to me like the grift there is they set that up, right? It sounds good to the world community. The sort of mid IQ world community is like, okay, well, there are little security zones and wars and people don't get along. That's normal, right? Like, but then what happens once you've got all your quote unquote settlers there, right? All of a sudden, they need a new security zone further inward, right, to buffer the new settler zones. So it's like you
Exactly.
see these security zones set up, and they just start to like encroach, right? It's like NATO
hmm
bases around Russia or something like that.
Yeah, that's their tactic, and they always do that, and it makes the negotiations impossible because the Israelis do what they call changing facts on the ground. So during the Oslo peace process over 20 years, they built 600,000 settlements or 600,000 settlers, 607 almost 700 during that period. I think moved in. So it kind of made the whole map of negotiations that they started during the Clinton's first term made it pretty much null and void. And then they turn around and say, if the Palestinians refuse it, they say, well, we offered you a perfectly good deal, and you refused it because the Arabs just don't know a good deal when they see it. So we had no choice but to continue pummeling them and taking more land. We're really sorry, but they made us do it. The Palestinians made us do this. I mean, it's just a fake. But Trump uses these same exact Israeli negotiation tactics, which are fraudulent, based on deception, out and outright lying. But anyway, back to the Iran situation, and we can talk about that briefly before I got to go. But who's winning that war? Oh, Trump's like, we've got a victory. We've got a victory. Oh, we're winning. It's a historic victory. Firstly, as I said, it won't be written as a victory because it was an undeclared war of aggression. So it'll just be illegal. The other thing is, how do you define victory? This is how I define victory. Before the conflict started, where was the U.S. in relation to the Iranians in terms of power distribution? I think the U.S. was up here and Iran was down here. So after, a couple months of conflict, what do we have now? Iran down here, U.S. was up here, now it's like this. Iran. So who has relatively gained after 2 months in terms of their influence, their leverage, their reputation internationally, and who has lost? Who has lost ground? It's pretty clear the Iranians have gained and the Americans have lost. So while America is still more powerful than Iran militarily, on paper, the US dollar is a world reserve currency. They've got muscle and might, and they can throw their weight around, threaten everybody with tariffs or whatever. But they have that, but they've lost, relatively speaking. The gap is closed. Iran has increased massively. So, and done huge damage to the US economy. So who's the winner? It's pretty clear who the winner is because all Iran had to do was survive. But they did more than survive. They took the initiative, and that has thrown the U.S. Narrative into total disarray, and the Israelis as well. And not to mention, they just dealt a beating to Israel, and they finally, the U.S., last thing I'll say, is that the U.S. buried 2 stories early on in this war. This is a very important point. The first story was Iran trashed most of the U.S. military bases in the Middle East in the first few days of the conflict. Absolutely trashed them. And they downplayed that in the U.S. media. It's only come out this past week. It's only come out. Real journalism, they would have said what we said at the time and what others said, but what would have showed the extent of that damage. But they closed ranks on that because of national security and the war effort. So the mainstream media are complicit because had they reported that accurately in the first week, that would have severely damaged and throttled the Trump administration's drive to war. The second one was they tried to do a raid at Isfahan to steal the enriched uranium, and they hid it as rescuing Private Ryan, pilot, whatever, colonel, whatever, and made that the story. But they buried the U.S. mainstream media closed ranks, probably at the orders of the Pentagon and the White House, not to report that it was a failed special forces raid, much bigger failure than Jimmy Carter's failed hostage rescue during in 1980. And that's the thing that really destroyed the Carter presidency. And this one with Trump and Hegseth was way worse. Record losses in terms of U.S. aircraft, probably many more men lost than are reported, and they'll sort of drip feed them as casualties over the course of weeks and months, and workplace injury, died of a heart attack, whatever, head injury, concussion, whatever. That's what they do. But had they reported on that accurately, that would have been hugely embarrassing, would have opened the gate for opposition to basically bring this farrago to a complete close. But they didn't. They refused to report it. And they will. There'll be a big expose in the New York Times in a month or 2 months or whatever. And then they'll be able to say, oh my God, we didn't know about this. Wow, this changes everything. Oh, but the war's already in full swing, or the damage is already done, or the economy's already shot, or whatever the case is. But the media had the opportunity to do that, and that would have made a change. So that's the important point. It's not for nothing that the press can make a change if they so choose to do their job. And they did it in this case twice. And that emboldened this disastrous war by Trump.
Yeah, exactly, Pat. And we've been seeing reports here. I'll put this on screen real quick. Reports like this: only 2 USA bases left right now, Patrick? ? USA never spoke of military deaths or injuries when blown up. And as Whitebird in the Discord points out, still at 13 deaths for the whole conflict. I'm having a hard time believing this.
No, the sources that we have, and that's been corroborated, saying it's orders of magnitude higher. And if there's an investigation done on this by proper journalists, they may find, I'm not saying definitively, I'm just saying they might find that the manifests going back from Stuttgart, Germany to North Carolina or Virginia of the, quote, casualties, the injured, are missing a bunch of other casualties from that list, which are not injured but deceased. But we won't know, because death tolls are hugely political. They can change the course of presidencies, leaderships, wars, etc. How they're reported, when they're reported, makes a huge difference, especially in America. America's got no stomach for downed aircraft, sinking ships, and dead soldiers. They just don't. And Trump wouldn't be able to bear, because he's selling this as is a perfect war. Absolutely, it's a perfect war. So perfect. No one's seen a war like this before. People say to me, Trump, we've not seen a war like this. It's just perfect. I've rebuilt the military.
Don't they have to drip the numbers out eventually? Like, aren't they? People are going to notice. Like, the family members are like, "Hey, my husband didn't come back from the war. What's up with that?"
No, that's not. No, what they'll do is they will contact the families, but they won't give the families all the information. And in the case of if the family is Delta Force or something like that, the mission's confidential. So they could have lost quite a few during trying to steal the uranium from Iran. And that will never see the light of day. And they could just make up another excuse of how they died, or they could go to them and say, "We're doing an investigation. This is a huge national security letter that we're sealing this under because it's so sensitive. We're sorry, we can't give you any information yet, but he is deceased. We'll be contacting you later." And they could manage this probably. You could probably manage 100 or so cases like this on the down low if you're the U.S. military. But if it gets into the hundreds, it's probably going to be very difficult to manage that, because people will talk, but that people will talk. It won't create any pressure, and it won't. It's nothing will happen for years. Look at the 9/11 wives. How many years did it take the 9/11 wives to get the inquiry? How many years? What was it? 10 years?
Yeah,
after,
too many.
or
more than that. Yeah, I think it was
so
more than that.
this is nothing. This is nothing. Covering up a couple of these operations here, nothing. It's routine for the U.S. government, and they just diffuse it. And they know how to manage it. They have all sorts of mechanisms and levers that they've employed in the past. And it's just a question of scaling that up. If there's a few more casualties or a few more dead soldiers than they had during previous operations, where they did this exact same thing when Iran retaliated against Trump assassinating Soleimani in January 2020, 2 months before COVID hit. Iran responded by flattening a U.S. base in Iraq, the Ain Assad base in Iraq, and they hit another base in Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan in the north. And then we didn't hear anything about any dead soldiers. And you saw the images of the base, much of which was not circulated in the media, but leveled. And you're telling me nobody died in that? And then we hear a month later, there's 50 soldiers that are in Stuttgart infirmary for head injuries, concussions, head trauma, right? So that was the official story. Month later, head trauma, 50 soldiers, only 50. And then how those are diffused from there, which ones will be said injured, which would be dead. Again, another layer, another few months, a year. Do we really even know the full story from that? That was 2020.
It's a nice round number for batch processing too. Here's 50.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
50.
two times you do it, you can knock 100 off the list. And we should also remember the story of Pat Tillman. You know, Pat Tillman lost his life in 2004, and his family had to go through extensive grief and process for 3 years before it was admitted that was a friendly fire incident. So,
and he was a celebrity.
And
he was a celebrity.
Right. So they had to address it. They had to. If you're not a celebrity, good luck getting that information out, you know. And even if you are a celebrity, 3 years later, I mean, at this pace, if these stories, get caught up in the washing machine for 3 years, where are we going to be in 3 years? In 3 years from now, we could have already had Cyber Polygon, Blue Beam, World War III, and no one's going to care about this story in 3 years, probably.
Yeah, I'll give you two other examples. SEAL Team 6, Afghanistan, Chinook. Oh, it just happened to be all the people who did the Bin Laden raid. Oh, look at that. They, how many years later they're all dead. Oh, okay. The Taliban just got lucky with an RPG. Just got lucky. And then what about this? Apache helicopter accident, a training accident in North Carolina, or whatever, Fort Benning in Georgia, whatever. They fill in the blanks. How many of these stories have we seen?
Too many.
Oh yeah, Texas Rangers, Special Forces, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6. Malfunction, accident months later, but I'm sure it had nothing to do with the failed raid or operation that they took part in. Nothing to do with that, I'm sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I just saw one just like that recently, Patrick, where I was like, I wonder if this is some of the people that got hurt during the Iran thing. But they're like, oh, yeah, we had some military members got attacked and killed by a bear in a training operation in Alaska.
Yeah,
a
Russian soldier. Probably Russian Special Forces. A bear. Yeah, you're right, Ruckus. That's how you got to read the media, because this is high-stakes propaganda. You're talking about dead U.S. soldiers. There is no bigger high stakes than this. In U.S. military or U.S. news, U.S. politics, that is the highest, because that's the only thing that our establishment knows that will probably move public opinion on any particular policy or conflict is dead U.S. soldiers, unfortunately. Because it can't be dead U.S. civilians, because nobody can hit us in America, too far away. So, and certainly we're not going to get outraged about dead Arabs or dead Vietnamese or dead, Africans. Not a big deal. No problem. No big deal. But dead American soldiers, big deal. Big deal. That'll move the dial. That moves the needle. So all the efforts put in managing that report, managing those numbers, because it's high stake.
And the silence is deafening. The lack of reporting on it is like this huge sucking sound in the media, and if it was being filled with actual data, verifiable data on the situation, it goes to show that those in charge of these narratives in the mainstream media and the CIA that controls them, they know that this would be a disaster if American forces, NATO forces, and IDF forces had numbers that were similar to what I just read to you out of Lebanon.
Oh yeah, and Lebanon. Look at the Israeli numbers in Gaza have been hugely downplayed. That's another for Israel. It's also devastating. They've lost way more than they've reported because they know they couldn't. The public wouldn't be able to swallow it when it gets into the thousands. So they've done their best to suppress that. But it's an even bigger deal for the U.S. Those kind of reports as well.
Yeah, because public support here in the U.S. is waning so hard. I mean, MAGA's pretty much like this administration, for whatever reasons, they decided to go along with it and be the one on the leash, have completely destroyed their base. Their base is just, it's like, it's even worse than the behavior we saw during COVID, during Ukraine, after October 7. Like, the behavior just screams, we don't care if this whole party is, a damaged brand henceforth.
Last thing I'll say, I've got to chip off, guys. Got the Tucker Carlson did an interview with the New York Times. It was one of those sit-down interviews, and they sent looks like a Zionist female reporter that was trying to hang up Tucker on anti-Semitism and having platformed Nick Fuentes and all this other stuff. And I thought Tucker just dismantled pretty much every argument. I mean, you have to acknowledge skill, but it's not skill. I think, honestly, I'm impressed that Tucker is just, I think he's sort of dropped a lot of political baggage, let's just say, that he has carried or felt he had to carry to maintain the conservative mantle or the MAGA mantle or the Fox mantle or the mainstream media mantle, the establishment mantle. He's dropping all of this, and I honestly think he's trying his best to portray the truth of the situation. And the extraordinary thing about that is it's reflecting in the podcast audience numbers. He is 5-fold ahead of the second most popular podcast. Like Joe Rogan's way in the rearview mirror, like dust, next to Tucker. So if telling the truth and relinquishing your establishment and political gatekeeping talking points and guardrails, that translates into a 5-fold margin on the podcasting ratings, audience numbers. What does that tell you? That tells you that that's what the population resonates with. What he's saying is what they resonate with, not what Jesse Waters is saying, or this army of cucks they have at Fox, or Ben Shapiro, or the Daily Wire, which is falling apart as we speak. But that really speaks volumes, and I think he deserves acknowledgement for going into a hostile interview with the New York Times that was bent on doing a hatchet job, and he's coming out on top. And he's winning in the league tables at the moment. So, and taking a very anti-Israel position, which is that's not a good career move for a lot of people.
There was a moment in that sit-down discussion where at least I recognized something, and I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of people caught it, and you probably did too. It was when she tried to do her her intellectual fatality move on him, and do what you were talking about, like regarding Fuentes and and he said something to the effect of, "Are you really trying to say that giving this guy a platform, or even him having said, X, Y, and Z is worse than the murder of children with my tax dollars. And you could just, I don't even know if it was a facial expression, but there was like a light in her eyes that just dimmed, or something in her eyelids that went down. Like you could see that she thought she was coming in with the intellectual coup de grace, going to count coup for Israel. And he just stepped on it. He stepped on it so hard. You could just feel her black aura de-blacken a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good example of honesty. Is an honest take is going to cut through all of that. And somebody at his level, when they do that, there's very little that they can do. Everyone else used to be the fear of losing your position, losing your job, losing this. So I think that's another paradigm moment in the Great Awakening, as it were. And people will say, well, Tucker's dad's CIA and all the rest of it. Yeah, so what? Would I want to undo what he's been talking about for the last 2 years? Probably not. I think it's been very productive in getting people closer to the truth. The other guy that's looking really good right now is Joe Kent. Joe Kent resigned. The first high-profile resignation of a cabinet position like that since the Vietnam War, during a conflict. And guess what? He's been totally vindicated on everything that he said. And he's getting a better support outside of government than he ever got in government. And so that argument that, a lot of people in the independent media attacked him immediately and thought, oh, he's shilling the usual black pill people, black pill crowd. But I'm saying, forget whatever you think or suspect. Listen to what he's saying. Is it correct? The answer is yes. Does he have a big platform to voice that message? Yes. Does that mean more people are getting that message? Yes. So more people are getting that message, which is very similar to, or the same as what we would say on this show, ad infinitum forever. Is that a bad thing? Just because it's someone from the establishment delivering it? And they'll say, no, he's just getting people's hopes up and he's going to dash their hopes. Or say, well, we'll see if that happens. But it hasn't happened yet. And it's woken up a lot of people, and it's damaged the establishment narrative, tremendously damaged it. And you can see the White House and the warmongering crowd, they're like cornered rats now. Because their own mainstream colleagues and government colleagues have turned on them.
Even Newsmax is criticizing them now. I'm just like,
really?
Where am I?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Newsmax. Oh my gosh, that's apocalyptic.
I know. I was afraid it was the end of the world the day I saw that.
Jesus, man. Yeah. Wait till we see. Wait till Greg Gutfeld eventually throws Trump under the bus. They're going to have to at some point, because I'm telling you guys right now, I predict Trump's going to get pushed out of office prematurely, and not from impeachment, some other method. I can just feel it. He's completely out of control. They don't know what they're doing. It's not that there's a 5D chess plan in the back. There's just not. They're completely off their heads. I think we've got to.
Someone's got a 5D chess plan back there.
Yeah, it's like the man with two heads. Yeah, I'm out here in Hyde Park, so there's a lot of people out here doing different things.
Patrick, I got one headline for you before you bounce here. Our friend Creative Accidents sent this one in. U.S. bill to grant Americans serving in Israeli army same rights as U.S. troops. So they've got a bill going that would place some 20,000 dual citizens fighting for Israel on legal par with Americans serving the U.S. How about that?
Wow, that's good to know. Do they get free health care as well? Can they get
probably all the benefits? I'm guessing
VA benefit. I think with the VA should open up a franchise in in Tel Aviv, and then we can take care of all the Israeli soldiers. Before I go, you got to. Are there any choice comments that we can deem to be
always? We've
deemed to be?
always
I haven't seen any yet, so I definitely want to see a couple
We've
of
always
choice
got
comments.
choice comments, and we had a couple of super stickers and super chatters too. I put those on the screen for a little shout out while we were talking there. Thank you to those of you that are engaging with the those features on our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. We're a little bit new to having those turned on, so we're getting used to it. Let's see, Patrick. One comment I saw earlier, I don't have it to hand right now, so I can't put it on the screen, but one comment I saw earlier when we were talking about the bombing of ancient Christian sites and ancient historical sites and spiritual sites, someone said war is a great way to erase history. And I was just wondering if maybe you could comment on the totality of antiquity, religious antiquity, historical antiquity that we have lost in the Middle East since like 2001.
Just between Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza. Gaza is so much historical sites in Gaza, Christian mainly, Islamic as well, but also archaeological museums. Israel targeted all of the museums and all the university departments that were doing archaeology, and it turned them all into dust. And all the evidence is gone. All the documentation's gone. And they even had a museum in Gaza that had the keys of every house that was stolen during the 1948 Nakba. And so that families could come and see the key to their home and the location of their home, that one day they might be able to reclaim it. And guess what? It was that was targeted by the Israelis as well. Just an example, plus the West Bank. I heard from one of the priests in the West Bank. He said that Nazareth and Bethlehem, very important in the Christian story, of course, right? He said there won't be any Christians left in Nazareth in 10 years, and in 20 years in Bethlehem. Gone at the current rate because of the Israelis, what the Israelis have done, and the wall they built around it to suffocate the economy and destroy tourism and all the rest of it. So think about that. So I guess that's those Judeo-Christian values we keep hearing so much about. Maybe that's what it is.
That may be another damaged brand. Speaking of which, Dabby J509 says the Trump brand is crumbled. Thank you for the correction. I said damaged. I think you're right. It is dustified. It is crumbled. It is dead and buried.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
we all know this is a game of 5D chess. Anyone wonder why Dr. Trump / Jesus calls it 4D chess instead? Could it be because raise a whole other board out there? There is whole nother board out there we know nothing about. Well, yeah.
The New York Times lady pushed Tucker on this. Tucker had said that he asked the question in a previous segment, is Trump the Antichrist? And then she replayed it and he denied it. I'll criticize Tucker there. He should have leaned into it. He should have said, "You're damn right."
Yeah.
I asked if he was the Antichrist because Tucker posed a question, and he should have leaned into it when she challenged him. But he backed off and said, "I never said that." No, he did say it, and he should definitely own it and proudly, because what at least you could the clever way to answer that would be, well, in terms of American conservatism and Christian nationalism and all that, he is definitely an Antichrist figure in that context. I wouldn't say globally, but Trump himself tweeted out a meme, Dr. Jesus, that he is the second coming of the Messiah. So he himself is pushing out that idea. So Tucker should have owned that. That's my only criticism from that interview. I thought it was brilliant. Tucker did amazing. He should have leaned hard into that and pushed it back on her and said, I would have said, how else can we describe this? He's made himself. He declared himself the Messiah effectively on his social, on Truth Social. That's the president of the United States. Yeah, I think he can go in that category as a potential candidate. Yeah, I think so.
Definitely antichrist behavior.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Clarity wants to know, is anything happening at Speaker's Corner, Patrick?
I'm not going down to that end. It's a long walk, and I'm at the other end. I'm at the Kensington Palace end. So, yeah, I'm not going to go down there anyway. But there's a lot of. It's not Speaker's Corner is not what it used to be. I think the level of talent has dropped tremendously, but it is entertaining. It's definitely a good place to go. But pre-internet, Speaker's Corner was the GOAT. It was the GOAT. After the internet, not as much so. Not as much so.
Well, the internet gave us a lot of things, but it also took some away. That's for sure. Creative Accident says, Patrick, thank you for getting us ready with education on this subject with 21 Wire, Al Nakba documentary, Robert Inlakesh, Gilad Otzman, Allison Weir, and other amazing guests. So thanks for that one.
You're more than welcome, and thanks to everybody for your support. And if you're listening on the live stream or you're watching, hit the link in the description. If you can, like and subscribe this channel and this program. It will make a huge difference. Share it on Twitter, on X, on Facebook. Share this stream, please, and tell people about it, and subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. We absolutely need to build up our membership there, and we've had a lot of interest, especially in the last month, more than usual off season. So it looks like there's an interest there. So again, thank you to everybody that's supported this platform, and thank you, Hesher and Ruckus, for holding down the fort. I love the artwork for this week's show as well. It exceeds expectations.
All right. Excellent. Well, we're really glad you were able to join us, Patrick. One last question here. Sleeping Giant, does Canada need to come liberate the USA?
Many have been hinting at this. I just don't see it happening, but yeah, maybe they'll take our draft dodgers. That would be enough, probably, if they try to institute the draft again.
Right. Just accept our draft dodgers and we'll be good, Canada. Thank you so much.
All right,
Patrick.
US is taking Canada. Sorry, Canada.
Yeah.
You're ours.
Yeah.
Don't even go there. Don't even go there, Ruckus. Many Canadians will not like this.
Well, maybe we should send our draft dodgers to Greenland. Wait, no, maybe not. All right, Patrick, we'll let you get out of here. Thanks so much for joining us live from the park there today, and thanks for letting us host the show. It has been and continues to be a blast, and we'll look forward to having you back next week.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, mate. See you soon.
All right. There he goes. 21stcenturywire.com is the website. Make sure you're over there and make sure you're liking and subscribing, commenting on the videos here, whether you are on YouTube, Rumble, X, or BitChute, or whatever. We really appreciate that. And of course, the support links are available on the show post at 21stcenturywire.com and alternatecurrentradio.com. Last night we did a boiler room, so you can check that out as well. We've got a fresh boiler room up at alternatecurrentradio.com. It's called Crowned in Chaos, so we recommend you get on over there and check that out if you missed it. Now, Ruckus, I think we need to talk a little bit about the Global Sumud Flotilla boats. Were in international waters this week. And I guess late.
That means
Wednesday,
they're safe, right? Nobody can mess with them when they're in international waters, right? Or
right.
Am I already wrong? Am I already wrong?
Well, technically you're right, but on the sea, it looks like maybe some piracy has happened or something like that. So yeah, a total of, let's see, 22 of 58 vessels are captured by Israel near Crete as the flotilla was on its mission to deliver aid to Gaza, which of course is under blockade. This is, I don't know which iteration of the Sumud Flotilla this is, but they keep coming, they keep at it, they keep the job going, and they keep trying to get aid to those people that needed it. But yeah, here's actually here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what happened.
Any further attempt to sail toward Gaza places your safety at risk and leaves the IDF no choice but to take all necessary measures at its disposal to enforce the lawful maritime security blockade.
Then Israeli forces boarded the ships and detained their crew. The Global Sumud flotilla describing it as an act of piracy on international waters, saying Israeli forces damaged ships, disabling their tracking equipment and engines. Israeli authorities in turn describing the activists as engaging in a PR stunt, labelling them provocateurs on a pleasure cruise rather than delivering aid, and claiming Hamas was the driving force behind their mission. A number of countries have condemned this incident. The Turkish government, longtime critics of Israel, have said the country has breached international law, while Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has demanded the immediate release of all Italians who have been detained.
Well, do we think an immediate release has happened? Do we think they were treated well when they were boarded? Do we think they were treated well when they were moved from ship to ship? No.
Well, that's what happened last time, right? Everything went swimmingly. Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I believe.
Including some incredibly disturbing stories coming from Greta Thunberg long after the incident. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah. Not good. Not good. And there are still a couple of members that are being held from, I believe, the last one. I think it might even be one of the guys that we spoke to on this show is still being held there. It looks like they're trying to make an example out of a couple people, and they had to really, really, really stretch the fabric of their legal realm to try to accuse them of being related to some sort of terror cell or something like that.
Well, see, like when I saw Bibi make the announcement about this, if it was indeed him, I didn't count how many fingers he had attached to the post that he made. Actually, he wasn't in the post, but he made a post, an official statement saying how proud he was about the fact that they churned back this aid. That's exactly what they called it. They said, I'm proud to announce that there will be no support getting through to Hamas. But they're not saying that they were providing weapons, that they were terrorists, that they were doing anything wrong, other than that they were bringing what they said they're doing, bringing food and medicine to the people in Palestine. And they're like, yeah, we're so proud that we stopped that. Hallelujah. Aren't we glad and we're happy? Praise whatever. Like, what? Are you tripping? Aren't you supposed to make up some sort of lie or something, right? You're not you're literally saying, hey, we stopped food and medicine getting to people who need it. Aren't we the good guys? No, you're not.
Yeah, doesn't sound like something to celebrate, especially in the eyes and ears of people who have seen what is going on there. You know, what life is like for some people there, particularly children. Here's another snippet here. This is out of Reuters. They say Israel intercepted humanitarian aid ships bound for Gaza in international waters near Greece. The group called the move an escalation of Israel's impunity.
We are on Folletto, and other boats around seems to be spotting interception vessels. Bianca got boarded.
If you carry humanitarian aid, you are invited to proceed to the port of Ashdod, where the aid will undergo a security inspection and will subsequently be transferred to the Gaza Strip. You are required to change your course. Any further attempt to sail toward Gaza places your safety at risk and leaves the IDF no choice but to take all necessary measures at its disposal to enforce the lawful maritime security blockade. It is dangerous to remain on your current course.
Okay. Now, one of the things that really gets me about this, man, is it's wrong, flat out, right? It's piracy, flat out. But even when you set that aside, let's just set all that aside, which I don't like to do. They're beating up the nonviolent people, the unarmed nonviolent people that they're pulling off the boats. They're destroying their property. They're sinking or stealing the boats, and they're physically abusing the people that they pull off the boats. It's one thing if you want to be so evil that you want to stop humanitarian aid from getting to people that need it in a war-torn place, right? With no running water or sewage or structures left. But it's another thing to take those people that are trying to do that as humanitarians and beat them.
It's like a new normal that nobody signed up for, right? Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, an imposed new normal.
And I don't like this stuff, Hesher, because I've seen the slow trickle, and it's not that slow anymore. Like the things that the IDF and the way the Israeli government acts in a lot of things that they do, we've started now adopting and doing. And I'm like, and who started the piracy first? Was it Israel or was it us? I mean, we did start taking, like, this is crazy. I mean, we're literally acting like, are we the baddies, Hesher? It's the meme. Are we the baddies? I think we're the baddies.
Our government is, that's for sure. So here's what's posted at the Global Sumud Flotilla X page. Global Sumud Flotilla participants have just survived 40 hours of calculated cruelty aboard an IOF Navy vessel in Greek waters. They were denied adequate food and water. They were forced to sleep on floors that were deliberately and repeatedly flooded. When the military moved to abduct two participants, Saif Abdushek from Spain with Palestinian origins, and Tiago Avila from Brazil, who we did speak to in one of the previous flotillas. I spoke with him and Iara on this very show, on the boat. Anyways, our crew peacefully resisted, and the response was sheer violence. Participants were punched, kicked, and dragged across the deck with their hands bound behind their backs. They suffered broken noses, cracked ribs, and bloody beatings. Shots were even fired at them in the chaos. The nightmare isn't over. Greek police are now trapping our battered crew on buses, denying them freedom to leave, while Saif and Tiago have been abducted and taken back to occupied Palestine. Our participants remain unbroken. 60 participants have immediately launched a hunger strike. This is a vicious attack on peaceful civilians. We will not look away. We demand their freedom and international accountability now. And if their words aren't enough for you, just take a look. So you can see here the damage
The Greek
inflicted on
police
these
is
people.
painting us as criminals. If they have arrested us or not, they said not. But they cannot leave the bus. They cannot use our freedom.
We were taking for 40 hours, 60 people, which were a third of the people that were with us, were on hunger strike. The other 120 people did not have enough food or water with them. We were forced to sleep on the floor, and the floor was flooded repeatedly with water. And we were beaten several times with our hands tied in our backs. We tried non-violent resistance to stop them from keeping Tiago unsafe, and that's why they beat us up before taking us on the board. And the Greek Coast Guard is cooperating with them.
If you can see, my nose is probably broken. My ribs are hurting bad, and probably something, maybe also broken. I don't know. And my neck also. They were kicking and they were punching and they were dragging us over the floor, and we even heard them shooting at people.
So that is not the kind of thing you want to see happen to unarmed civilians, international, multinational, unarmed civilians bringing food and water to people that need it.
And no shocker, some of the people who were kidnapped on board one of these vessels, journalists. Here we go again, targeting journalists.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty insane, man. I mean, they don't even bother to like take those people to a place to abuse them where it won't get out. It's like they want it to get out. It's like they think they're sending a message or something. I don't know. The whole thing.
I think it's what Patrick said, like like somebody gave them an inch and now they're taking the mile, right? It's like every time they do these things and they get away with it, they're going to just keep doing it. And like, if they're going to get away with it, why bother hiding it? Do they need to? I mean, that's a lot of extra effort and energy on their part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just take the easy, safe and effective, Hesher.
Right. Yeah. Only take a couple weeks and everything will be back to normal, just like, you want.
Until
So
the next spot that we're like, oh, well, wait a minute. Now that, and we haven't finished up here, or we're still busy with this one, but we're going to open up another front here and another front here. And, and it's just going to keep, how long does this keep going before the big boys get involved? The stuff we've all been worried about. When does this turn into World War III? When does like China and Russia say, all right, guys, you had your fun. Let's do it. That's what I'm like waiting for that shoe to drop. Plus the fake alien invasion. But anyways.
Yeah. Blue beam always lurking in the background. So this was the largest humanitarian mission to date. Multiple vessels, 21 boats were seized, more than 175 activists detained, and at least 31 people injured during boarding. They jammed the communications, of course. And what does Israel say? Well, we're enforcing the blockade in international waters to prevent weapons from reaching Hamas. Drugs were allegedly found on one vessel. What does that mean? Somebody had a vape pen or a roach or something? Come on. Nobody was bringing in kilos of
insulin, Hesher.
Captagon.
Insulin.
Yeah, insulin. That's the kind of drugs they probably had aboard there. Yeah, like these people are taking weapons and drugs to Hamas. Come on, get out of here. That is
the food and the aid is, I'm sure they define it as weapons, because if it's helping the enemy stay alive, grow stronger, it's weaponized. That's weaponized water, sir. Weaponized food, weaponized insulin.
You can't hydrate those people. That's a weapon against us, right? Makes total sense. So, Spain's PM, Pedro Sanchez, accused Israel of abducting a Spanish citizen and demanded his release. Man, that should be the response from every PM and president, from anybody of those 175 plus people that have been kidnapped, swashbuckled at sea.
Well, making those type of statements is anti-Semitic, Hesher.
Antiseptic. Well, we don't want to be antiseptic. The algorithm will come after us. So, what does this say about the blockade? Like, is this just going to go? Because they'll keep doing this. The Global Sumud Flotilla, they are dedicated. They're dedicated. They're not going to stop. They don't care how many boats get scuttled. They don't care how many of them are held in longer term detention. They're just going to keep doing it. And you kind of saw in the video there, the fact that they're detaining those guys seems to only increase the sense of urgency for the Global Sumud Flotilla. And they seem to be getting more and more eyeballs on them. At this point, let me look at their X account. At this point, they've got 111,000 followers. That's pretty good. We need to make it bigger. If you're on X and you're not following Global Sumud Flotilla and you're interested in this, get in there and give them a follow. They're constantly posting updates there. It's at GBSUMUDFLOTILLA on X. It's a good place to keep up with them. And like they've even got firsthand accounts. They've got updates on what's going on with the gentlemen that are in extended detention, Saif Abu Kashek and Thiago Avila. So, it's a good place to keep up with this stuff. See right here, if you thought, this isn't serious, there he is. That man, you saw him on Sunday Wire, and now he's being held by the IDF, by Israel. And it says an Israeli court extended the detention of 2 activists from a Gaza flotilla who were brought to Israel for questioning. So their detention is extended. And if you know anything about detention in that country, it can go on and on and on and on and on for people that aren't even Israeli.
So Israel is keen about like, oh, well, we didn't really want to turn back that humanitarian aid. We were just enforcing the blockade. But how are they doing on enforcing themselves with that ceasefire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, not so good.
Yeah. The rule, shifting goalpost, changing the narrative on the ground. That seems to be the thing, right? You just do that every time. Just do whatever you want. And then you send the little spiders, little troll media spiders out on the internet and on legacy TV and have them do the lies. So, yeah, that was a disturbing event this week. But, those people that go do that, they know what they're getting into. They know what the risk is. And for that, I don't remember which reporter it was or which outlet it was to claim that they're basically having a joyride on those boats is just insane. That is a ridiculous idea to try to plant in the public's head that these are just, people who like to spray paint boats and go do drugs and, try to go into a war zone because they think it'll be fun. Are you kidding me? This is like, I don't even know what version of flotilla this was. This is at least the 3rd time I've covered it in some detail, and I'm sure a few more have happened beyond that. And more people are starting to notice, like, wait a minute, this is insane. What are you doing with the boats? What are you doing with the water and the insulin and all these things that were on the boats? Why can't you, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then they think they can just hold people for this indefinitely. So they're not stopping people. My point is they're not softening the resolution and urgency of these people that are trying to make a difference. So that's the flotilla situation. And then we've got the whole drone activity, Ruckus. Hezbollah, they're saying, are using fiber optic drones, which I find interesting because I'm not finding much footage of that. Whereas if I look at, the conflict in Ukraine, I see a lot of footage of that kind of stuff. But Times of Israel, AP, Euronews, Al Jazeera, BBC are all talking about Hezbollah's fiber optic drones. And like Patrick was saying, like, this country isn't even allowed to have an air force at all. Of course, they're going to have some drones. I don't think this is any surprise. What do you think about this, man? Have you seen this at all?
Nope, completely new to me. Iran has Hezbollah. Hezbollah has it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, got it. It's just like there's so much going on. Okay, so they got drones. Why? Well, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Why wouldn't they? I mean,
yeah,
anyone can get a drone these days.
So,
right?
I guess this is news now. That's the thing. Okay, I see it now. Okay, so yes, so they're saying they got drones. Well, they're not doing a good enough job of making sure we're all aware of it. So I don't think there's a big there.
Right. I look at it as like a talking point to get people to be like, oh yeah, we need more of those yellow zones. If they have drones that are fiber optic, what? Just it's so ridiculous.
Huh, okay. Yeah, we gotta keep an eye out for that. Well, it's just, I mean, the thing is, like we do live in 2026, and we have low tech, like cheap, like plastic. You can do some stuff, people, that you couldn't do back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's really easy for people like, oh yeah, we wiped out their navy, we wiped out their, like, okay, they're going to adapt. You were talking about the flotilla is going to keep going. They're going to adapt too, but they're not, not with weapons, but as Israel says, but with food and medicine and stuff, the humanitarian aid. But so are the people. You're going to defend Israel's dropping like bombs on you, and you're like, well, we could just sit around and take it, or we could get smart. Let's pull our heads out of our butts and, hey, look, drones. Now we can do stuff. So
right.
Yeah, good on them, I guess. But it's not like the other types of drones that we hear about, where it's like, oh, we're going to do this because our family members are heavily invested in the drone company, and we're going to use them for security because of a fake shooter at some sort of dinner event in politics.
We need drone swarms coming out of Bearcat vehicles, armored Bearcat vehicles for protection, right? But this is like a turn up of the volume knob on the old. Well, their teenagers threw rocks at us, so we had to shoot them narrative, right?
Well, it's also funny. I'm just noticing here, apparently the IDF is actually struggling to adapt themselves to defend against these drones because, they spend all this time and energy with their Golden Dome, which is for a very specific thing that moves at a very specific speed and size, and all these like, oh, that's not going to do anything against these drones. Way to go. Foresight, everybody. Way to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's...
Did I say Golden Dome by mistake? I didn't mean to. I meant to say Iron Dome. We're getting the Golden Dome in America because, again, just like everything Israel does, we're now doing.
Right, because Trump loves gold. Even King Charles III had to gift the president a bell. I don't know if it was actually golden, but, close enough.
It probably was because, there's the rules, right? If you're going to give a gift to Trump in the White House, it better be made of gold or look like gold at least.
Yeah, got to at least have the appearance of gold, right? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, yeah, I think that kind of warfare is something that like a lot of people are just not really hip to. You know what I mean? Like if you're a young guy or girl who's joined the military and 5 years ago or something like that, right? Like you had a preconceived notion of what combat looked like and what dangers on the battlefield look like, but that particular preconceived notion did not include FPV drones, fly-by-wire drones, these kind of drones that they're using for this particular talking point in these articles this week. You don't really know what that's like unless you've been fighting in Ukraine. If you've been fighting in Ukraine, there's enough videos of this out there now, people describing what that's like, in particular, the drone threat. It's a whole different ball game. The whole like concept of like, I'm going to fight for my country. I'm going to, strap a helmet on and I'm going to, be prepared mentally to be shot at by guns and grenades and missiles, right? It's not that way anymore. It's that, but on top of that, it's just this little sound you might hear when it's too late. It's already seen you. You can't get away. It doesn't matter if it's dark. In fact, you're even more screwed if it's dark because it has thermal cameras on it. So good luck hiding in the bushes, hiding in a corner, all that stuff. Like this thing is, I don't know what the ratio is, but there's a high percentage of people getting unalived by these sort of devices.
Pretty spiffy how the whole drone thing started out as toys for kids to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I wonder how far ahead the thinking was on that one.
Mm-hmm. Man, I remember being a little kid having some of those toys that like had little rotors on it, little cheap ones, and you'd like a little rubber band on or something and pump it, and it'd start going. Like we had like early drone toys even when we were, us X-Gen when we were kids. But yeah, I remember when the first drone I bought was from a gas station or something like that, or a Target, it was just this little like $10 cheap Chinese toy. And it was like, wow, we can fly this around the house. Neat. Well, guess what? Now it's completely changed the face of warfare. It's completely changed the oh shit moment, if you will. Forgive the French there. The oh shit, I'm going to die moment on the battlefield is now like not, oh, someone who's a better shot got me, or uh-oh, a tank round incoming. I know what that means. No, it's that little flying around looking to just erase you from existence. from miles and miles away. No better shooter, no better soldier. Might not even be a soldier. It could be a soldier from another army, or it could be some nerd from Silicon Valley flying
I'm
that thing.
investing in nets. I'm gonna get me a bunch of those butterfly nets, and yeah,
Like the Wile E. Coyote one.
yeah, trying to catch the Roadrunner, but I'm gonna catch me some drones.
Yeah. Ah, man. All right, Ruckus. Well, I think it's time to round it out here. You got anything else you want to throw down before we close out this week's Sunday Wire?
Not really. Thanks for having me. We did cover quite a bit on last night's Boiler Room, so everybody make sure you head on over to the place. You know the place. What's the place? alternatecurrentradio.com, and you will find the newest episode of the Boiler Room there, as well as my most recent appearances on Weaponized News with Sam Chaney. That's what Roundabout Ruckus is. And Hesher. Hesher's been doing something amazing, so shout out to Hesher. He is resurrecting some of the old Boiler Room episodes, so we are now featuring them on the website. We're doing a little bit of a redesign, so please bear with us. But it's not on this one, but we're going to start noticing. I want to let everybody know about this because I think it's really cool what you're doing, Hesher. So you will find this on the most recent episode of Boiler Room. Yeah. So this is from last night. So now not only can you watch the video and can listen to the audio, but now you can check out all the sources in its own special area, and as well as a transcript. And there's two versions of the transcript. If you want the raw one, that'll be available there. I think we're just still working on that part. Yep. But yeah, we're going to be doing this now moving forward. So that was a great idea on Hesher's part. So that was awesome. But yeah, he's also resurrecting some old episodes. So make sure you're heading up there to the website, alternatecurrentradio.com. Learn about us, learn how to support us, spread the word. That's probably the most important thing that you can do. And the best part is it's free to do that. So take the links to the shows, drop them in an email, send them to your mom or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mom's boyfriend or your mom's girlfriend, whatever you need to do. Just get the word out there, share it on your social medias, but also send them in an email. If you're like, hey, listen, there's some important information here I think that you need to know because I care about you. All right, there you go. And I care about you, fine folks. That's why I always remind you to do the thing, which is to read everything, listen to everybody. Don't believe anything unless you prove it for yourself using your own research. God bless you all.
All right. Thanks, Ruckus. It has been an absolute pleasure. There he goes. Ruckus is getting out of here. And I'm going to get out of here, too. I am really appreciative that Patrick had us today. We've explored a lot today. The lines between separate conflicts are becoming increasingly blurry. What happens in Gaza doesn't stay in Gaza. Clearly, what unfolds in Lebanon doesn't exist in isolation. And decisions made in Washington and Tel Aviv ripple across the entire region here. Understanding these connections is absolutely essential, not just to follow events, but to see the broader structure taking place. We'll continue to track these developments as they evolve. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And I want to thank those of you that support independent analysis and open discussion. You can see our subscribe and support banner running down there below me. You can find links to do all that at 21stcenturywire.com. And we also appreciate your support at alternatecurrentradio.com. So stay informed, stay critical. We will be back next week. Thanks for all the comments today. And thanks everybody hanging out in the Discord. Thank you, YouTube, Rumble, X, everybody, BitChute for having us. And we'll see you again next week. All the best.
Regenerate as generations fall. ceiling serpent calls. Buildings burn, masking riot shots. It's TV terror, watch the will of God. Hey! Here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. The culture coast consuming all our lives. Rejuvenate, resist the pulling dark. False flags and endless wars. Mass-born psychosis waged. Forced medical tyranny. The complications we'll soon see. Hey! Here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. Heaven come down.
We don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love. All peoples of the world as one. The revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace.